These are my predictions for Community Days in 2024. I'm Alex Gum, aka Cheeklay, and welcome to Pokemon Go Ahead. We had a great year of community days that are featured, like the starters, Noibat, Galarian Slowpoke, Axew, Timber. Today, when you're watching this video, you're going after Wooper and Paldean Wooper, which, by the way, we're gonna shiny hunt while you're watching this, so best of luck to you guys. But it is the end of the year, and this would be a good time to try to make some predictions, especially since we have some leakers out there, leaks about what's going to be featured, and I want to beat them to it, and apparently I wasn't quick enough to do so because they already said what January was going to be, and maybe February. In my defense, I was writing this out before they leaked. I look back at all the community days since 2018 all the way to the present, and I saw how much things have changed for community days over the year. So it's really kind of hard to kind of narrow down what kind of Pokemon would qualify for a Com Day. So I made a very simple list called the 10 qualifications of community days. What the heck is it? And what the heck are my predictions? Be sure to subscribe, hit the bell, and be sure to let me know in the comments below which community day do you want to see. Now that we got that part out of the way, let's talk about the 10 qualifications of community days, and then let's get to the fun part, sharing some of my predictions for community days in 2024. Number 1, a Pokemon that never had a community day before. If they have one, it deserves to have a Com Day Classic. Number 2, a Pokemon that could be a 3-stage evolution, like a starter or a pseudo-legendary. Number 3, Pokemon that evolve with 400 candies. Noibat and Magikarp and Stuffle are great examples. Number 4, Pokemon with regional variants. Alolan forms, Galarian forms, you name it. Number 5, sometimes a shiny Pokemon debut or a Pokemon debuting for the first time. Number 6, special evolution methods. This could be like an evolution item, Pokemon that needs less candy for trades, lure modules, or other specific methods. Number 7, a second stage evolution that has a pre-evolution only exclusive in eggs, like Togetic into Togepi or Roselia into Banu. Number 8, Pokemon with cross-generation evolutions or branch evolutions. Number 9, Pokemon originally from research rates and or eggs, and they spawn in the wild for the first time for a limited time. And number 10, a game changer. Now, what is a game changer, you may ask? Well, I'm going to list out some examples of those kinds of community days. One example would be a community day from April 2022, Stuffle. This is the first time that we had a Pokemon make a debut in Pokemon Go in general, and it was debuted for a format of a community day. We never had anything like this before, and this does open up an opportunity for many Pokemon to be debuting, whether it's a regional form or maybe an evolution of that Pokemon, like Teddiursa evolving all the way to Ursaluna. And currently right now with Paldean Wooper debuting, as well as the Pokedex entry for Clodsire. Another example would be a Pokemon that has never been in the wild before, and that was in November 2021, Shinx. Normally Shinx, when it debuted when Generation 4 came out in 2018, it was only obtainable in eggs and in raves. But then when I heard that we had an announcement for a Shinx Com Day, it changed everything, because this is a Pokemon that never ever spawns in the wild. And that brought an opportunity for another Pokemon that we had last month, Timber. So this means we could see a Pokemon like Clink or Sandile be in the spotlight. You just never know. Another good example would be March 2022 in the forms of regional variants. This could feature Sandshrew or Alolan Sandshrew on March Community Day, or maybe Galarian Zigzagoon in August of 2022, and just only Galarian Zigzagoon. It didn't have to feature Zigzagoon. So for example, if we were to have, like, let's say a Sneasel Community Day. So a game changer can literally mean anything that we would not expect. And in a couple of these predictions, I decided to kind of throw in myself a monkey wrench to predict something that I feel like would never happen, but could happen, because it's Niantic. They try to throw these things at us to keep Community Days as fresh as possible. And those are the 10 qualifications for Community Days. So now that we got that out of the way, let's share some predictions. Number 1, Vanillite. Now, I know leaks came out, and of course it has said that January Com Day is going to feature Vanillite. But in my defense, I made that prediction last year, didn't happen this year, but I decided to bring it back for this upcoming January, and it might be it. Let's say that Vanillite is confirmed for January. I think they should give it the Wall Rain treatment, where you can evolve Vanillite into Vanillux to get Powder Snow and Icicle Spear. Plus, it would be cool to see shiny Vanillite finally in the game. Number 2, 3, and 4. I'm gonna include all 3 together, but the Alolan Starters are my next prediction. We've seen Unova Starters have Community Days in 2021 and the Kalos Starters this year. It would make the most sense to include the Alolan Starters respectfully on this list. There has been a leak recently that Rowlet could have a Community Day in February because of a recent leak featuring the signature move Spirit Shackle. The Hisuian is the evolved form of the Rowlet, and when you evolve it all the way, it learns Spirit Shackle. Kind of like with Greninja learning Water Shuriken or Blaziken learning Blaze Kick. Spirit Shackle is a ghost type move and it's exclusive for the Hisuian, so there could be a chance that because of this leak, we can see this be a February Com Day, and then we could see Lyn in May, and then if you evolve it into Incineroar, it could have Darkest Lariat or Blast Burn or both. And then I would say August for Pop Leo because it does evolve into Primarina. Honestly, I don't even know what the move is called. Is it like Sparkling Aria or something like that? But anyway, the Alola Starters. That's my obvious pick. But it's not as obvious as Goomy. There has been a pattern going on for Dragon-type Pokemon having Community Days in the month of June. Back in 2020, Gible was featured during Go Fest, and a year later, in June 2021, we had Gible Community Day, while Dino was featured during Go Fest. In June 2022, we had a Dino Community Day, while Axew was featured, as well as its shiny debut for Go Fest later on. In June of this year, we had an Axew Community Day, and Goomy was featured during this year's Global Go Fest, as well as its shiny debut. So we could assume that if this pattern continues, we could see Goomy Community Day in June 2024, and possibly Jangmo-O featured for Go Fest of 2024, and maybe its shiny debut. And then it would have a Com Day in June 2025, and the pattern would just continue. Out of all of it, this was the most obvious pick out of every prediction that I made, and everybody is assuming that's the prediction for a Com Day in June 2024. Anyway, next up we have Honedge. It's been a while since we had a Pokemon debut for a Community Day. I think it would be so cool if they picked an unreleased 3-stage evolution line to have a Community Day. Honedge is a Ghost Steel type sword that evolves all the way into the epic Aegislash. Wouldn't it be so cool to encounter this Pokemon in Pokemon Go? Now, I know what you're thinking. Aegislash has 2 forms. How would it work with its forms changed without King Shield? Make it simple. Give it a Community Day and make King Shield the exclusive move. And then let us have shiny Aegislash for fun, because it's cooler to have a shiny sword than a dull sword. Okay, moving on. Voltorb and Hisuian Voltorb. We have seen Community Days featuring Alolan forms, Galarian forms, and recently Paldean forms. But what about Hisuian forms? I think Voltorb and Hisuian Voltorb should have a Community Day and have shiny Hisuian Voltorb debut. Look at their shinies. How could you say no to these? I don't know what exclusive moves they could each learn. I guess Karrablast for Hisuian Voltorb and maybe Explosion for the other Electrode? I don't know. But it would make sense to have a Pokemon featured during a Community Day that resembles the iconic Pokeball. Next up, we have Meowth, Alolan Meowth, and Galarian Meowth. Sometimes we would have 1 or 2 regional variants featured for a Community Day, but what about 3 regional variants? I think it would be a banger of a Community Day if we had Meowth, Alolan Meowth, and Galarian Meowth all spawn in the wild at the same time. Meowth is a popular Pokemon in the anime as a Team Go Rocket member attempting to kidnap Pikachu. If you thought having 3 variants at once was a game changer, then you haven't heard about my proposal, Payday. In the main game series, Payday is a move that only Meowth, Persian, and Berserker can learn. When the move hits its opponent, coins would scatter around the ground. If the opponent faints after using Payday and wins a battle, it picks up the scatter coins and you would earn extra money. I think it would be so convenient if we had a Persian or Berserker that used the attack payday in gym battles, raid battles, or PvP for a limited amount of times a day. He could earn an extra amount of Pokecoins. Listen, receiving a maximum of 50 Pokecoins a day from having Pokemon defending gyms for a long period of time isn't kind of for me. And maybe it's not cutting for you either. I think it would be beneficial if we had more methods of getting Pokecoins in Pokemon Go, since that is more valuable in currency than XP and Stardust combined, arguably. I know it's a long stretch, but if Niantic can do that, not only would it be a game changer, but it could also be a major quality of life in the game overall. Next up, Mankey. The only reason why I want a Mankey Community Day is because of the official final evolution, Vanillite. It is one of my favorite Pokemon from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and I would love to see it in Pokemon Go. The best to debut is to have Mankey be spotlighted for a community day so it can have the exclusive move Rage Fist. Think of it as a Teddiursa Community Day, where Teddiursa evolves into Ursaring, but evolves even further into Ursaluna for the first time for a limited time. Magnemite. I wanted to throw in a random Pokemon that I feel like would be featured for a community day. Magnemite's shiny is really cool, but its final evolution requires a lot of things. 100 candies, a Sinnoh Stone, and a nearby Pokestop with a magnetic lure activated. There's a lot of requirements for Magneton to evolve into Magnezone. So if we get a time research that can give us extra Sinnoh Stones and extra magnetic lures, we would get set to go. I mean, considering the fact that some of the bonuses for community days is 3-hour lure module. So we could take as much time as we want trying to evolve the best Magneton into Magnezone. If we were to have the exclusive fast attack lock on, you have yourself an electric type Registeel if you do GPL or PvP. Now, what if I were to tell you that we had a community day that features not just one Pokemon, but 2 completely different species of Pokemon? Oh yes, I'm going a little crazy on this one, but let me explain. At first it sounds a little crazy, however, we had 2 different variants of Pokemon before, therefore it wouldn't be that hard to feature 2 sprites in the wild during community day. But I don't think it should just be random Pokemon. I think it should be 2 Pokemon that not only have a relationship, but a background story from previous main game series. Why not have a Karrablast and Shelmet Community Day? You may say in the comments below that Niantic would never do this and it sounds impossible or stupid, but I have some good arguments why this would be a game-changing community day. Number 1, we had some community days where certain Pokemon evolved by trade. If you were to trade a Pokemon with another trainer such as Timber, it would only require 0 candy for evolutions, especially since some evolutions require 200 candies. Karrablast and Shelmet are 2 Pokemon that evolve by having 2 candies each. Not only that, they are evolved by trade, so you don't have to spend candy on their evolutions after the trades in Pokemon Go. Traditionally in Pokemon Black and White and other Pokemon games, if a trainer has a Shelmet, they would have to trade it for a Karrablast from another trainer and vice versa. After the trade commences, Shelmet evolves into a Selgor and Karrablast evolves into Escavalier. It's like during the trade process, Shelmet is giving Karrablast its helmet. That is why a Selgor doesn't have it and Escavalier does. Number 2, having 2 different Pokemon would get trainers engaged to go out and catch some shinies, and you never get bored from catching the same shiny Pokemon every single time. It also could be opening up doors for opportunities for other pairs of Pokemon to share a community day, such as the Nidorans, or even Pokemon like Tentacool or Toedscool. Finally, number 3, if for some reason you get a shiny Shelmet and not shiny Karrablast, but your friend has a shiny Karrablast but not shiny Shelmet, I know it's a calm day, you get the shinies, but just go with the example, okay? You could trade each other the shinies and not worry about candy costs. On top of that, every community day has a 50% Stardust cost discount bonus for trades, and you also get 2 special trades within the 3-hour period. At first, having a pair of Pokemon being featured for a community day is crazy, but at the end of the day, it could be fun and fulfilling. I have predicted so many Pokemon, but I do want to take some time to mention some honorable mentions. Jigglypuff, Aeron, Sewaddle, Pikipek, Pawmi, both Vulpix and Alolan Vulpix, and Wimpod. But they could be featured for Calm Day next year. You just never know. And those are my predictions for 2024 community days in Pokemon Go. I know some of these sound a little crazy, but it's always fun to kind of come up with these fun ideas for what we could potentially see for a community day. Well, anyway, that's all the time that we have. Again, thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see a specific Pokemon spawn during a community day. We will see you next time. Peace out.